By Sri Lanka's best internet package for online learning and online working with many amazing offers. Call 1212 for more information. Sri Lanka Telecom.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, rumour has it, 20th Amendment to the Constitution given the green light by the Cabinet could be gazetted tonight. Full normal. Epidemiology unit allays concerns of a drastically morphing virus as schools return to pre-pandemic schedule.
We have identified even this COVID-19 virus has different strains, but we have no evidence to say that the strain is changed substantially.
Mystery shock. Another tremor felt in Kandy. Reasons not forthcoming. Awaiting justice. Hearing of 12 Easter attacks fundamental rights petitions pushed back to November. Motion filed to admit Presidential Commission evidence. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Wednesday, the 2nd of September, 2020.
Nava Sunlight Sakura. Then Dikukal Pavatina Sakura Mal Suandin.
From Ada Derana, this is Ada Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanayaka. Let's start with your local stories. Now, sources confirm that the draft bill of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution has been given the green light by the Cabinet of Ministers and it is set to be gazetted tonight. Meanwhile, the Attorney General today put to rest any concerns of the draft bill of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution needing a referendum, as he informed the Ministry of Justice that the amendment could be passed by a two-thirds majority in Parliament without a referendum.
The government appointed a cabinet subcommittee to make recommendations pertaining to drafting the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. The committee consists of Minister of Education Professor G.L. Peiris, Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, Minister of Labour Nimal Siripala de Silva, Minister of Energy Udaya Gammanpilla and Minister of Justice President's Counsel Ali Sabri. Yesterday, the draft of the 20th Amendment was forwarded to the Attorney General by the Ministry of Justice. Today, the Attorney General's Coordinating Secretary State Counsel Nishara Jayaratna informed that Attorney General Dappula De Oliveira had communicated his stance to the Secretary to the Ministry of Justice. The Attorney General has advised the Secretary to the Ministry of Justice does not attract the holding of a referendum in terms of Article number 83 of the Constitution of Sri Lanka. The AG has therefore informed the Justice Secretary that the bill may be enacted by the Parliament with a two-thirds majority of all members. With that being the case, the draft bill of the 20th Amendment was submitted to the Cabinet this evening, chaired by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Meanwhile, according to sources, the draft bill of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution has been approved by the Cabinet of Ministers and is set to be gazetted tonight.
Enjoy a very smooth shave with the Bic Easy 2 razor. Bic Easy 2.
Now, Chief Epidemiologist of the Epidemiology Unit, Dr. Sudath Samaravira, says no substantial evidence has come to surface to back the notion that the COVID-19 virus strains are undergoing drastic changes. Also raising concerns of the increasing number of imported cases in the country, Dr. Samaravira pointed to congested living conditions of those repatriated, especially from the Middle East. Meanwhile, government schools resume their pre-pandemic schedules today with students from grades 6 to 13 taking to classrooms.
Following an enforced hiatus of over 3 months, the government took steps to resume schools under 4 phases, amending school hours from 7:30 am to 3:30 pm. But for the first time since the outbreak, all government schools were reopened today in accordance with the pre-pandemic schedule. Accordingly, under the first phase, students of grades 6 to 13 returned to school today. Under phase 2, starting from the 8th of September, students of grades 1 to 5 will resume school according to their usual schedule. Meanwhile, the United States donated 200 brand new state-of-the-art ventilators to Sri Lanka today. The ventilators were handed over to Minister of Health Pavitra Vanyarachi by the US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Elena B. Teplitz.
These ventilators will enable Sri Lanka's health providers to deliver quality care that could save lives. This donation also demonstrates the ongoing commitment of the United States to support the government and the people of Sri Lanka through this crisis. Here in Sri Lanka, we're very eager to support a partner, and I commend the Minister, the Secretary, the former Director General, the Acting Director General, and the team at the Ministry of Health and beyond in the government of Sri Lanka for the very excellent work done here to combat COVID-19.
From the time the COVID-19 outbreak was first detected in Sri Lanka, the political commitment played a major role in containing the epidemic in the country to this level and preventing the community transmission. The National Task Force was established under the leadership of His Excellency President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, bringing the Health Ministry, Tribe Forces, Police, Intelligence, and other related disciplines together. The tireless efforts taken by the Sri Lankan authorities of the relevant sectors were complemented by the support received from the different development partners, including the USAID, based on the strategic preparedness and response plan for the COVID-19 in Sri Lanka.
In the meantime, Chairman of Avangard Maritime Services, Nisanka Senadipati, says that he is ready to provide his vessels if required for the repatriation process.
හදිසි අවශ්‍යතාවයක් ඒ මොනොත් කොවිඩ් වැටුණොත් අපි ක්‍රූස් ලයිනර්ස් ඒවා අපි ලෑස්ති කරලා තියෙනවා ඒ රටවල් වරින්ද මම මේ ගැන UAE එම්බැසිට කතා කරලා තියෙනවා ෆොරෙන් සෙක්‍රටරියටත් කතා කරලා තියෙනවා අපි නැව් 10ක් කරලා 10000ක් ඒ නැව්වට පටවලා එක්ක අපි ඒ රටවල තියෙන බරායවල් වල ඒගොල්ලන් නියෝරාදනය කළා දවස් 14ක් ඉවරනම් පස්සේ PCR ටෙස්ට් කරලා ලංකාවට ගේන්න එහෙම නැත්නම් හම්බන්තොට පෝට් එකයි ගාල්ලි පෝට් එක අපිට රෙඩි කරලා තියන්න අපි නැව් 8ක මෙහෙම කට්ටිය පටවලා ගෙනන්න එනත් එන ගමනේදී දුබායි ඉඳලා දවස් 14ක් යනවා අපි ස්ටෝ එකේ ඇවිල්ලා ඒගොල්ලන් තියෙන නිරෝධානය කරලා ඊට පස්සේ මේගොල්ලන් ආපහු නැවතතාවක් ගොඩ බාන්න. එතකොට නිරෝධාන කටයුතු ඉවරුණාන් පස්සේ ෆ්ලෝටිං හොස්පිටල් එක මම ලෑස්ති කරලා තිනවා. මේ සම්බන්ධ ප්‍රොෆෙසර් අර්ජුන සිල්වට තාකර නවලෝක හොස්පිටල් එකේ ඔහු ඒකට එකගත්තේ පළ කරා ෆ්ලෝටිං හොස්පිටල් එකක් නවලෝක හොස්පිටල් එක මාර්ගෙන් දුවන්න.
Meanwhile, with 16 fresh cases being detected, the overall tally of COVID-19 patients in the country rose to 3,097. All of the infected are imported cases. Among them are 6 arrivals from Qatar, 7 from Kuwait and 3 from India. Meanwhile, on a positive note, with 4 more patients being given the all clear to go home, the country's recovery is increased to 2,883, placing the number of active cases at 202. Speaking to First at 9 on the possibility of imported cases carrying a different strain of the COVID-19 virus, different to that of Sri Lanka's, Chief Epidemiologist of the Epidemiology Unit, Dr. Sudat Samaravira, had this to say.
We are reporting more and more cases among the repatriates. This shows that in these countries that COVID-19 is spreading very rapidly and in a very intensive manner. But we don't have any evidence that this COVID-19 virus is drastically changing. According to the medical knowledge, viruses can change their pattern or their composition frequently. We have identified even this COVID-19 virus has certain different strains, but we have no evidence to say that the strain is changed substantially during the past days.
Dr. Samaravira also went on to elaborate on the reasons behind the increase in the number of imported cases.
So anyhow, that the main reason for this increased number of cases is that in these countries, COVID-19 is spreading rapidly, as well as these people are very vulnerable. For example, especially in Qatar, most of these people are living in a very congested manner, in a very low housing condition before they return to Sri Lanka. These are very ideal conditions to spread COVID-19. So we think that that is the reason that we are identifying more and more cases among these people.
Now, another tremor was felt in Kandy this morning, similar to that of the tremor which occurred in the same district last Saturday. A team attached to the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau conducted an investigation today at the location where the tremor was felt. They, however, say that any conclusion with regard to the incident can be arrived at only after a proper research.
Several areas of the Kandy district experienced an earth tremor once again this morning at around 7:06. Today's tremor has occurred in the areas of Digana, Ambakote and Aluwatta. It was recorded in the seismic centres of both Pallekele and Mahakanadarawa as minor shocks. Furthermore, an investigation team of the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau conducted an inspection in the areas where the tremor was reported. Accordingly, the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau stated that the seismic data confirmed that these seismic conditions are not associated with major land boundaries.
ඉතාලම සුළුවෙන් ඇති වෙච්ච තත්ත්වය ඒ තත්ත්වය ඇත්තටම අර පෙර කම්පනයක් තත්ත්වයට සමානයි කියලා කියනවා. නමුත් ඒකෙන් කියන්නේ මේක මේ ඊළඟට සිද්ධ වෙන්න යන ලොකු භූමිකම්පාවක පෙර කම්පනයක් කියන නිගමනයට එන්න අපිට ප්‍රමාණවත් සාක්ෂි නැහැ. ඒ අද දැනිච්ච කම්පන තත්ත්වය දැනලා තියෙන්නේ ප්‍රධාන භූමිකම්පාවට කලින් සුළු භූමිකම්පා දැනිච්ච ප්‍රදේශෙම තමයි දැනලා තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒකෙන් අපිට තීරණය කරන්න පුළුවන් යම්කිසි දිශානතියක් ඇතුව සිද්ධ වෙන පොළොව ඇතුලේ සිද්ධ වෙන ක්‍රියාකාරකමක් එක්කම හැටියට ඒකම අපි දන්නවා මේ ප්‍රදේශයේ විශාල වශයෙන් හුණුගල් කැණීම් කරනවා. හැබැයි බෝර පිපිරීම සහ කාලයක් තිස්සේ කරගෙන යන හුණුගල් කැණීම නිසා මෙවැනි තත්ත්වයක් ඇතිවීමට අවකාශ සැලසුණාද කියන එක අපිට ස්ථිර වශයෙන් කියන්න බෑ. නමුත් අපිට ඒ සඳහා යම්කිසි නිගමනයකට එන්න මේ සිදුවීම සිදු වෙලා දෙන ගැඹුර ගැන අදහසක් ගන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ඒ සඳහා අපි තවදුරටත් ඉදිරි කටයුතු කළ යුතු තියෙනවා.
An earth tremor also occurred in few areas of the Kandy district on the 29th of August. An investigation pertaining to the tremor was conducted on the 30th of August by the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau. However, they did not determine the exact reason for the tremor.
We will see you shortly after this break. Bear with us.
Ceylon Bank, the bank with a heart.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the Supreme Court today decided to postpone the hearing of the 12 fundamental rights petitions filed over the failure to prevent the Easter Sunday terror attacks, despite having forewarnings until the 10th of November. Now, during today's proceedings, a motion was submitted requesting that evidence uncovered before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the attacks be called before the Supreme Court. The motion is due to be considered tomorrow. In another development, MP Rauf Hakim was also called before the police unit at the Commission to provide a statement.
The 12 petitions were filed by the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, victims of the attacks and their relatives, Catholic clergy as well as several other factions. They are to be heard before a 7-member bench of the Supreme Court, chaired by Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya. Former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando, IGP Pujit Jayasundara, former President Maithripala Sirisena, former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, former ministers, the Attorney General and several others are named as respondents in the petition. Meanwhile, the petition filed by the Bar Association has also named Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith. The petitioners want the ruling to say that the respondents have violated their fundamental rights. They also request the Supreme Court to order the Attorney General to file charges against the respondents under criminal law. The Supreme Court bench also ordered to reissue notices for those who failed to appear before court today. The bench informed parties to the petitions to submit objections on the 25th of September and counter objections on the 9th of October. The bench also informed that the petitions will be heard on the 10th of November. In the meantime, one of the petitioners, Attorney at Law Mudita Ekanayaka, submitted a motion today pertaining to his original fundamental rights petition. It requests that the evidence produced before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the attacks be called before the Supreme Court. The motion will be considered tomorrow. Meanwhile, former MP Professor Ashu Marasinghe, who arrived to make a statement to the police unit at the Presidential Commission probing the Easter attacks, however, refrained from giving his statement.
ඒවකට අධ්‍යාපන හා මානව සම්පත් සංවර්ධන පිළිබඳ ආංශික අධීක්ෂණ කාරක සභාවේ සභාපති වශයෙන් කටයුතු කළ කාලවකවානුවේදී 2019 6/21 වන දින පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඉදිරිපත් කරන ලද බැටික්ලෝ කැම්පස් ප්‍රයිවට් ලිමිටඩ් ආයතන සම්බන්ධ නිරීක්ෂණ වාර්තාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් කරුණු අනාවරණය කර ගැනීම සඳහා ප්‍රකාශයක් ලබා ගැනීමට තමයි මේ ජනාධිපති කමිෂන් සභාවට කැඳවලා තිබුණේ. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් විශේෂයෙන් කතානායකතුමාගෙන් විමසා සිටියා. මොකද පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඉදිරිපත් කරන ලද වාර්තාවක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් පිටස්තර ස්ථානයකදී සාක්ෂි දිය යුතුද කියලා. කතානායකතුමා පැහැදිලිව කිව්වේ එහෙම දිය යුතු නැහැ. ඉතින් මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කමිෂන් සභාවට ඇවිල්ලා මම ලිපියක් ලියලා බාර දුන්නා මම සාක්ෂි නොදිය යුතුයි කියලා.
Parliamentarian Ranjith Madhuma Bandara too was at the police unit of the PCOI and gave a statement in the excess of 3 hours.
මම හිටපු නීති හා සාමය ඇමතිවරයෙක් විදිහට මගෙන් ප්‍රශ්න කරා ඒ සම්බන්ධ මේ ලැබුණ තොරතුරු සහ ආරංචි සම්බන්ධව. ඉතින් මම ඒ සම්බන්ධව අවශ්‍ය සාක්ෂි ලැබලා දුන්නා. කාගේ රජයක් තිබ්බත් ආරක්ෂකංශයේ තොරතුරු සියල්ල ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ. ලැබිලා ක්‍රියාමාර්ග නොගත් අය ගැන යම් තීන්දුවක් ගන්න ඕන මේ රටේ ජනතාව අනාගතය වෙනුවෙන්.
ඒ කියන්නේ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා හිටපු අගමැතිතුමා
අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමාගේ දේශපාලන මතවාද වෙනස්කම් තියෙනවා. නමුත් අගමැතිතුමා මේකට වක්කිය යුතු නැති විත්‍යයි මගේ දැනුම.
ඒකෙන් ඔප්පෙන්නේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා වගේ කියන්න ඕනේ.
එතුමා තමයි ආරක්ෂකංශයේ භාරව හිටියේ. මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මැතිතුමා තමයි නීති හා සාමය මැති විදිහට කටයුතු කරේ.
Meanwhile, MP Rauf Hakim has also been asked by the PCOI to appear before its police unit. The parliamentarian is expected to record a statement with the police unit of the PCOI on Friday.
Minister of Justice, President's Counsel Ali Sabri vows to eradicate the drug menace from Sri Lanka by any means necessary, adding that if it requires the formation of a special task force, he's ready to do that too. In the latest on Sri Lanka's war on drugs and the underworld, police found a stock of heroin weighing 23 kilograms hidden in a carpentry shed in the area of Sapugaskanda. Upon inquiry, it was revealed that a sibling of a suspect, who is a police constable attached to the Colombo Crime Division, had given him the drugs.
23 kilograms of heroin was found from a carpentry shed in the area of Heyantuduwa along the Samadhi Mawata in Sapugaskanda today after the Megahavatta police was tipped off. The police said that the heroin was concealed within 2 speakers at the premises, while the owner of the carpentry shed and a heroin dealer were arrested. Police added that the duo had received the stash of drugs about a month ago. What's more, a younger brother of the carpentry shed owner is also a constable of the Colombo Crime Division. The package of heroin found today bore the same symbol of a Native American found on packages of heroin belonging to Angudalokka, which was seized by the Colombo Crime Division on the 26th of last month.
දැනට මෙම හෙරෝයින් ප්‍රමාණය කොළඹ අපරාධ කොට්ටාසයට අනුව මෙම සැකකරුගේ මල්ලි තමයි මේ හෙරෝයින් මේ සැකකරුට ගෙනත් බාර දීලා තියෙනවා. දැනට එයාවත් අරමුණට ගන්න කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා. මේ අයියයි මල්ලි තමයි ගෙනත් දීලා තියෙන්නේ. මල්ලි පොලිසිය වැඩ කරනවා. එයා තමයි දැනට ප්‍රධාන සැකකරු හැටියට අපි හඳුනාගෙන තියෙන්නේ. එයාට මේ බාණ්ඩ හම්බෙච්ච විදිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැනට විමර්ශන කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා.
Meanwhile, a reverend who conducted lectures for drug addicts were arrested with 300 grams of heroin by the police criminal investigation unit of the Negombo division. Identified as Surendra Kamal Silva, the suspect was apprehended from the area of Fatima Vatta in Kochikade of Dalukotua. The court permitted the suspect to be held under detention orders and interrogated for 7 days. Meanwhile, Siddhi Nashima alias Nona was arrested last evening with 120 grams of heroin from the Henamulla apartment complex. She had been in possession of 55,000 rupees in cash, which is believed to be the spoils of drug dealing. In the meantime, a suspect known as Totalanga Kudusanda was arrested along the New Kolonava road today. Police said that the 36-year-old suspect, namely Dinesha Sandamali, had sold drugs by visiting buyers at any location. An undercover operative had been used to arrest the suspect, who is a resident of the Metsanda 7 housing complex in Totalanga. During a search of the suspect's house, the police seized 25 grams of heroin, 8 bank cards and 7 mobile phones. Elsewhere, a woman who had been dealing drugs at a house along the Sumitarama road in Kotahena was arrested with 2 grams of heroin. Kotahena police said that the suspect, 38-year-old Raj Selvarani, had been in possession of 90,000 rupees at the time of her arrest. With Sri Lanka ramping up its war on drugs and the underworld, several factions expressed views on the matter.
මේ දවස්වල හැමදාම මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය කුඩු. ඉතින් මේක නම් අහුවෙන්නේ කොහෙන්ද එන්නේ? එනතන අහුරන්නේ නැතුව දවස් ගානේ ක්‍රයිම් ගණන් අල්ලගෙන පබ්ලිසිටි දුරට කිසි වැඩක්. ඒක හොඳයි ඊළඟට දේශපාලනට එන්න ඉන්නවනම් දැන් ඔහුගේ පුස්පත්වල දේශපාලනය කරන්න. ඒකෙන් කොච්චර පිරියුණා එහෙම නැත්නම් මිනිහට හිරියාරයක් කරන්න ඕන නම් ඔය අරගෙන ගජ්ජටියක් පොලිසිය කොළක තියන් ඉඳලා ඒක දාලා අල්ලන්න. දැන් අලුත් ප්‍රදේශවල කුඩු දාලා අල්ලන්න. ඉන්නකොට අවුරුදු ගානක් ඔගේ රිමාන්ඩ් එක පිරිලා. මේවා වෙනස් වෙනවා.
2015 ලංකාවේ කුඩු නඩු තිබුණේ අපි යනකොට 6600. ඊයේ මම රස පරීක්ෂක දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ කඳවල සාකච්ඡාවක් කරා. 2016 8000යි. 2017 11000යි. 2018 12000යි. ඊයේ අවුරුද්දේ 16000. අන්න අවුරුදු 5ක ප්‍රගතිය. දැන් මේ අවුරුද්දේ මේ දක්වා 13000. අපි මේ රටින් තනි කරම මේ මත් පුවදුර තුරන් කරනවාමයි. එහි අග මුල ගිය සියලු දැන් අපි හොයන. ඒකට විශේෂ බලකායක් අවශ්‍ය නැත් ඒකත් හදනවා.
Now, heavy rainfalls occurred in several areas island-wide, marking an end to the dry weather conditions which prevailed in the past few months. Furthermore, the National Building Research Organisation has issued landslide warnings in 5 districts due to the downpour. The Director General of the Department of Meteorology says that rains could reduce tomorrow. However, it will intensify once more over the weekend.
Heavy rain struck several areas of the island during the last 2 days, ending dry spell which prevailed in the past few months. Accordingly, several areas of the island recorded rainfalls above 200 millimeters. Heavy deluge occurred in the districts of Colombo, Kalutara, Gampaha, Galle, Ratnapura, Putlam and Mannar last night and continued until this morning. Furthermore, the highest rainfall during the past 24 hours was recorded from the area of Salava in Avisavella, which is 287 millimeters. The Department of Meteorology stated that sudden heavy rains with strong winds were experienced yesterday as a result of the turbulent nature of the lower atmosphere of the island. In the meantime, heavy rains and strong winds damaged many properties in several areas of the country. What's more, transportation was also interrupted as a result. In Poddala, a part of a concrete wall fell on a house nearby as a result of the heavy rainfall that struck the Galle district. A 16-year-old girl who was asleep in a room at the time of the incident sustained serious injuries. She is currently receiving treatment at the Karapitia Teaching Hospital for head injuries. In the meantime, the Disaster Management Centre says that the inclement weather has so far affected 633 people across 210 families in the districts of Trincomalee, Mannar, Badulla, Vaunia, Hambantota and Putlam. 5 houses have been completely damaged and 197 houses have sustained partial damages.
117 call center number is completely open for all the disaster management activities in Sri languages in 24/7 basis. And the Triforces and the police being deployed, so they are standby with the equipments as the instructions given by the military coordinator and the Director General of the Disaster Management Center, Director Emergency Operations as well.
With the sudden onset of inclement weather, the National Building and Research Organisation has issued landslide warnings to the districts of Colombo, Ratnapura, Galle, Kalutara and Galle.
Bureau requests people to pay attention to the following pre-landslide signs: development of cracks, ground subsidence, deepened cracks and slanting of trees, telephone post, electrical post, and cracks on the floors and the walls of the buildings, sudden appearance of springs, emergency water, blockage or disappearance of the existing springs.
Department of Meteorology meanwhile expects showers or thunder showers in several areas in western, Sabaragamuwa, southern, central and northwestern provinces tomorrow. Its Director General Atula Karunanayake said that rains could reduce tomorrow. However, it is expected to intensify once more on the 5th and 6th of this month.
Join us again on the other side of this break. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa requests graduates who are beneficiaries of the employment opportunities provided by the government to be shareholders of the country's development mechanism. During the event, he organised to present letters of appointment to unemployed graduates. The President noted that jobs will be provided for 100,000 persons from underprivileged families next week.
The presentation of appointment letters to 60,000 unemployed graduates was held at the Presidential Secretariat today under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Accordingly, at the end of the one-year training period, graduates will be attached to government institutions that are directly involved in rural and estate schools, agrarian service centres, regional irrigation officers, wildlife officers and local Ayurvedic hospitals.
මේ හැම කෙනෙක්ම තමන් තෝරාගන්නා අංශේ දියුණුවක් ලැබීමට පශ්චාත් අධ්‍යාපනයක් ලබා ගැනීම ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත් වෙනවා. අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම මේ අයට පුහුණුවක් ලබා දෙනවා. නිෂ්පාදනයට උදව් වෙන ආකාරයට තමන්ගේ රාජකාරී කිරීම ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත්. එන සුමානේ අපි ඉලිඳු පුද්ගලයන් ලක්ෂයකට රැකියාවන් ලබා දෙනවා. මේ සංවර්ධන ක්‍රමවේදයේ කොටස්කරුවන් වෙන්නට කියලා මම මේ අද රැකියාවන් ලැබෙන උපාධාරීන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
Meanwhile, a discussion was held at the Presidential Secretariat today regarding the future plans of the State Ministry of Land Management, State Enterprises, Land and Property Development. The President requested to issue clear deeds within 3 months for land which are clear without issue. The President also stated that a state mechanism should be set up to respond to requests made for state institutions regarding land clearance within 14 days.
LRC ඉඩම් ගැන. හුඟක් තැන්වල විශාල චෝදනා ඒවා හරි විදියට රෝජෙන්ට අරගෙන නැහැ. සමහර ඒවා අත්නෝමතික ලෙස මිනිස්සුන්ට ලබා දීලා ඒවයේ කිසිම සංවර්ධනයක් නැහැ. කුරුණෑගල වැවිලි ඒ පුද්ගලික සමාගම්වල ඒ අයට LRC ඒවා බාර දීලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් ඒගොල්ලන්ටම ඒක දීලා නැහැ. ඒක හින්දා සංවර්ධනය කරාට පස්සේ ආපහු LRC එකෙන් ඒවා අරගෙන තව කාට හරි දෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒක හරි අසාධාරණයි. අපි කතා කරන්නේ මේ භුක්ති විඳින ඉඩම් ගැනනේ. ඉතින් ඒ ඉඩම් වල ඔප්පු ටික දෙන්න. ඊට පස්සේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් ආව නම් ඒකේ ඉන්ඩිවිජුවලි ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න. එක්කෙනෙක්ගේ පුංචි ප්‍රශ්නයකට ලක්ෂයක ප්‍රශ්නයක් කරගන්නවා. එහෙම නෙමෙයි. අර එක ප්‍රශ්නයක පස්සේ විසඳත හැකි. මුලින් අර දෙන්න ඔක්කොටම දෙන්න පුළුවන් භුක්ති විඳින අයට ඉඩම් ඔප්පු ටික දෙන්න. දැන් කොන්ස්ටිටියුෂන් එකේම තියෙනවා ජනාධිපතිවරයාට නොමිනේෂන් එව්වයින් පස්සේ ජනාධිපතිවරයා අප්‍රූව් කරේ නැතොත් දවස් 14න් ඉබේම පත් වෙනවා. ඒක ජනාධිපතිවරයාට ඒක තියෙනවා. අනිත් අයට ඒක නැහැ. මට ඒවල මම පත් කරේ නැතොත් ඉබේම පත් වෙනවා. දැන් මම UD එකට කිව්වා ඒක අනුව දවස් 14ක් ඇතුළත ඔයාට අනුමැතිය නොලැබුණොත් එය අනුමත කලාසේ සලකනු ලැබේ කියලා සර්කියුලර් එකක් ගවන්න. එච්චරයි.
Now, Sri Lankan shares ended higher for a second straight session today following a market holiday yesterday, with consumer staple stocks contributing to over half of the session's gains. The benchmark all-share price index closed 0.58% higher at 5,359.99. The equity market recorded a turnover of 1.79 billion rupees. Now, here's a brief report on today's market performance.
Turnover recorded over the 1 billion consecutive for more than 3 weeks, with the ASP sustained the positive drive, although the Standard & Poor's continued to lose momentum. And moreover, the market dominates the turnover taken over by the capital good counter, contributing 44% lead by John Keells. And market experienced a gradual upward movement since the beginning of the session and recording an intraday high of 5,366 before closing at 5,360, gaining 31 points. Parcel trades in John Keells, Vidyalanka and Dialog boosted turnover, contributing 42%. And for an investor to contribute the net seller while recording a moderate participation.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.